Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Ghoulfriend Hour. I'm your host, your ghost host, Morgan Fezza.
And I am the most a ghost, Rachel Faust.
And today we have 2Realm Paranormal with us, so we're going to pass the torch to you and let you introduce yourselves.
I'm Sabrina Marie. This is my mother, Teresa Muncie. We are 2Realm. We're the founders. We're the only members of 2Realm.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, yeah. So let's just dive right into it. Tell us a little bit about 2Realm, how you guys started and all about your journey.
Oh my goodness. I started when I was 13 years old. So it's been about 33 years.
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm kind of ancient. I'm old as dirt now.
I literally was like, you both look so young. So when you said, I was not expecting that. I was like, wait a minute. I'm like, you literally look like you're in your 20s. I'm like, 13. I'm like, that should be
We
only
love
like
you.
what?
I
Seriously,
love
you
you.
guys look really young.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm 64.
I think that's a
You just
lie.
made
They're
my
lying,
day.
everybody. You do not look that at
Yeah, we're
all.
lying. We're really 20
Yes,
and
yes.
30.
There you go. There
There
you
you go.
go. Listen, that's your story and you got to stick to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tell us a little bit more.
So I started when I was a teenager, just based on what was going on in my house. I'm a born psychic medium. You started.
I started talking to spirits when I was about 10 years old. So it's been about, quite a while since I'm 64. So
Wow.
my grandmother taught me how to talk to spirits
Okay.
back a long time ago. That's where we get our, I guess you'd call them gifts.
Okay.
It's part of the female in our family. None of the males, just the females. And goes back, well, my great grandmother that I know. It's a Cherokee heritage thing because I'm part Cherokee.
That's so,
Um,
there's so many things that you're saying that I think are so, well, not funny as in like haha funny, but just funny that you're bringing it up because I just found out that I think that I do have Cherokee in my blood, but I'm mainly Algonquin. And my like sensitive side, my gifted side runs down my maternal side as well. So I think that that's really interesting that a lot of the psychic mediums that I get to meet and kind of chat with, they all seem to inherit their gifts from their maternal side. So that's really awesome.
yeah, yeah, we've found that out since we've been talking to a lot more people over the years that it is. You're right. It comes from the female. We're just better. There you go.
It's girl power.
Yes.
It's girl power.
Girl power. I like it.
Yes.
I like it. No, so tell me like what were some of your like I guess we'll go, for each of you one by one. What was your earliest memory of kind of like, hey, I think that I may be seeing stuff that other people can't see, or what was your earliest experience that you can remember?
It's so funny. I just posted this story on our website, both of ours actually. I was about 4 years old when I started to notice things around the house. We would go down in the basement. We lived in this really old house in this weird old neighborhood, and the laundry was down in the basement and it wasn't finished. The house was so old that they had one of these really big coal bins. It used to be heated by coal. So I went down there with her while she did laundry, and I just got the sense that there was a man in this coal bin, and I just kept looking over at him. I didn't think anything of it. I mean, I'm four. I don't know anything about this stuff. So I just got this really kind of weird feeling this man was watching me, and I saw him. He's in this black suit and white shirt. He was all tore up, and it was like below tie. His face was sunken. He reminded me of like zombies now. You see the artwork of zombies.
Wow.
And he was scary, but I didn't really know whether or not to be scared of him. But I was always wanting to go back down to that basement. Always. And she knew that I wanted to go in the basement. She gated it off on both sides, so I couldn't climb. Had the butter knives jammed in the door frame so that if they fell, we would hear them. And but there was actually a good spirit there too that she thought was my imaginary friend. I
Okay.
called him Rotten, but he was actually like a 40-something-year-old man that we found out later on in life was actually my great uncle.
Oh,
And he
wow.
was kind of protecting me from going down to the basement to this more nasty kind of spirit.
Yeah. Well, and I was probably about 8, 9 years old, and my grandparents lived in a very old house in West Virginia, up in the mountains. We used to go there and stay with them all the time, and my sister and I would sleep in the attic, and there was a room attached to where we were sleeping, and we would hear noises in it, and curious, we'd open the door, and we saw a rocking horse, one of those old wooden rocking horses, moving, and
Oh, man.
yeah, it scared us, and of course, at that age, we ran back to the bed and covered our heads with blankets, like that's going to protect us,
Say
right?
the trusty blanket.
Oh yeah. But a few years later, I kept hearing clothespins or something. I don't know what it was. I didn't know what it was at that time. I was 10 at this time. Falling down the stairs from the attic, and we were sleeping up there again. And I looked, and there was nothing there. So I ran down and I asked my grandmother. And at that time, she just looked at me and kind of smiled and said, I guess you're ready, because she already knew things. She already knew what was going on. And she said, she started to tell me about a man that was shot there. And when he fell, he knocked over this bag of clothespins, one of the old, it was very old. I mean, it's been a long time ago. So it was like these old clothespins, and they tumbled down when he fell down the stairs.
Wow.
And that's what I was hearing. So I told her about the rocking horse that, happened a few years before. She said, it's haunted. It was a room full of antiques, and the rocking horse was haunted. There was actually a spirit there. And then she taught me how to talk to spirits. And
Wow.
what she could do. She could see them, she could hear them, she'd move them on. So she was very gifted.
Wow. That's beautiful. And do you think that so one of the things that I often hear whenever I get, the honor to talk to other psychic mediums is the isolation that kind of comes with that. It's always said it's a blessing and a curse, but some people don't have, the guidance or the people in their lives who maybe have the gift and are willing to be as open about it and teach their children who it's been passed down to. Do you think that having that influence in your life has kind of made this journey a little bit easier and maybe lessened some of that isolation that typically comes with it?
For me, it was because I was scared. I was very young, and I was seeing things, hearing things, and I had no clue what it was. And it wasn't something back then, because you got to remember, this is a long time ago. Spirits were not talked about. You did not talk about ghosts. There was no TV shows. There was nothing you could learn.
Yeah.
And you don't say anything about it. And if you did, you were looked at like you were crazy. But it was good to have her there because she would talk. And then every time I would stay with her after that, she knew that I knew. So we would laugh when we'd hear stuff or we'd see things. And it was she was very religious. So I learned the religious issues with it. I've taken a different turn since then. So I'm more me. I'm more a spiritualist.
Okay.
So it's more of a different path for me now than it was back then. But if I hadn't had her, I wouldn't have had anybody to talk to.
Yeah.
And it's really helpful to do that because I was scared.
Yeah.
So,
And it is a very scary thing, especially, you know, what you have gone through, talking about how you had this, you said it was a nasty entity. So when you say that, was it nasty looking, or did you kind of find out later that this was something that was darker and not really there to, I guess I should say, not really there for the right reasons?
Well, thinking back on how I felt, now I've been around a lot of negative entities. I've been around, demons, and I've been oppressed, and I've had all these negative things that have been around me. So when I think back on how I felt, I know that it was a very oppressive, heavy, negative kind of feeling that it gave me. And the way he lurked in the shadows, it just reminds me of something out of a horror movie. I hate comparing the paranormal to horror movies, but because it's so real, and horror movies are of course fake unless they're based on truth. But the feeling he gave was just so heavy.
Yeah.
And his hiding in the shadows, and he looked like death. And so it gave a very negative feeling.
Okay.
The house was not
There was a lot in that house.
there was a lot of spirits in that house. There was a lot of activity there. But I knew he was there. I wouldn't look that direction. I would just run down, do what I had to do, and wouldn't let her do anything. And because she was so little. And he was a very negative spirit. Where he came from, I don't know. Why he was there, I don't know. It was not my house, so it was not something I could really research on much. So we just had to deal with it.
Yeah.
And, when you have to just deal with something, you kind of just try to avoid it as much as you can and protect yourself. My goal was to protect my daughter.
Yeah.
So it was like, keep her away as much as possible. As long as she didn't go down there. He's pretty much stuck down there. He wasn't going anywhere but the coal bin. So as long as she didn't go to him, she was safe.
Yeah.
So it was like, keep her from going down.
Yeah.
But
And I'm sure as a mother, that was probably a really just terrifying. And I mean, for like, I guess from just my perspective, I would feel terrified being a mom and having a young toddler, that sometimes I do think that she has inherited, that maternal gift. And she has these moments, and I'm like, I panic a little bit, and I'm like, oh man, like when she starts to come into it, how do I protect her? So I can only imagine now that she's seeing this negative entity, and that it's there, and she is constantly gravitationally pulled there. I mean, that's got to be very terrifying.
It is because at that time, I was still learning a lot myself. And it wasn't something that I was focused on because I had a daughter to raise. And it wasn't until later that I actually started learning more about how to deal with it. So it's been a long life and a lot of learning processes. And I've come across a lot of things that are a whole lot worse than what was in that basement. And he was nothing. If I came across him now, I'd know how to deal with it. But at that time, it was just keep her away. Just keep her away from it, because I didn't really know that she could see him. All I knew is that she was 4 years old. She wanted to go, and typically you would think that, it's just a 4-year-old wanting to explore. She didn't really know what she was doing, and that's pretty much what I thought. And I knew what was there. I didn't want her in there. So it was, and I had no clue that my great uncle was there. I had absolutely no idea he was there. So
thank goodness,
she did.
right?
Yeah, she did. I didn't. So
that's the funniest story on its own. She actually thought this was a little boy that was an imaginary friend.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I told her what he looked like, and she's like, "What?"
Wait a minute. If I'd have known he was there at that time, I would have been happy because he was protecting her.
Yeah.
So you learn things over the years, and you never stop learning. I've been doing this for so long, and there's not a day that goes by I don't learn something new.
I love that
And
though.
yeah, it's, but you're right about it's a gift and a curse. It really truly
Absolutely.
is. Because we have gone through some pretty bad things, and it's like no matter what we do, no matter where we go, there's always something new, always something else. You escape one, you get into another. It's like I get so tired. I just want to be normal. I just want to be normal. I'm tired of hearing things. I'm tired of seeing things. I'm tired of things touching me. I'm tired. And you know, that whole put up your boundaries and stuff. Yeah, it doesn't always work. You know,
No, I agree. I
yeah.
agree.
I mean, you put
It's
them
very
up, put them up.
exhausting. Yeah.
You put them up and you do what you can, but it doesn't always work because there are some pretty nasty spirits out there.
Well, and I think
So,
it's a good I guess we'll call it I don't know if it's an analogy or a metaphor. I'm working on two brain cells today, so just bear with me. My toddler is she's exhausting me lately, so I got,
oh,
but I always try and tell people with the whole boundary thing is I kind of compare it to like your house. And, polite people, I feel like relatively normal people who have a conscience and are of I guess just better and they're not looking to hurt people. They just have that, that vibe to them. They're gonna knock on your door, they're gonna ring a doorbell, they're gonna say, "Hey, can we come in?" And be more polite. And then you're gonna have some people that don't respect those boundaries and they, breaking and entering, kicking in doors, and you have that
right.
select group. And that's honestly as silly as it sounds, it's how I think about it, especially with the spirit world. And I think that there's a lot of similarities and commonalities between the living and the afterlife. And so how do you guys feel about that?
Well, you know what she calls the spirit world, the living impaired.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
my
there you
twin
go.
term.
I like that. I like that.
They're people just without bodies, and
Yes.
we've actually come across a spirit that killed himself. He committed suicide, and he actually liked how it felt to die, and he liked being a spirit. He could do more.
Really?
And
He had the
just
freedom.
loved telling us that too.
Yeah.
He came through on Spirit Box one night and told us his name and like, how did you die? Killed myself. I liked it.
Yeah.
Really?
Like,
Now, I knew
Wow.
this guy when he was alive. Before he killed himself, I actually had met him, and he was a very odd guy when he had his body. So it was only fitting that he would be that way when he was in spirit world.
yeah.
So
Hey, if
it's
he's happy, I mean, that's at the end of the day, that's what matters, right?
yeah, as long as he
Wow.
doesn't bother me.
There
So
you go. Exactly.
yeah,
So,
but
go ahead. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
No, it's like you know, I he was kind of invasive though. He kind of was.
He was
He
was
would
a
bother
little
other people.
he was a little pervy. He would
Yeah.
be looking in girls' windows and
Oh no.
Yeah. So he
Yeah.
was not, you know, if you want to be a spirit, go ahead, be a spirit. If you enjoy that way, then fine. You don't want to move on.
be
But
afraid.
yeah. But leave
Oh
other people
man.
alone. So
Yeah, I
he's
feel like
kind of
as a
creepy.
spirit, like I'm like, I want to like, I know it sounds terrible, but like I just want to be like the spirit that like runs around and like takes the batteries out of people's remotes and like shakes things up and just makes things
Yeah.
really inconvenient and like just because I'm like half the time, like I feel like that's what I run into is those very mischievous, like I'll put something down on the table and it's gone. And I'm like, come on. Like, I have to be somewhere in like 10 minutes. Like, please give me my car keys. Please just put this back. And then it's like I turn around the same breath and it's there again. I'm like, come on, guys. Like, but then I'm like, you know what? It does seem kind of fun to just a little
Yeah.
bit, not any harm, but just like, little pranks here and there.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't cause any harm. I mean, we have spirits that
I
are
have a
around,
haunted
and
list.
you know, there's spirits around, and you know, it's fine. I actually have a spirit that I love when he comes and visits
Oh,
because
he's so
he's
fun.
he's a protective spirit and he stays pretty much around me all the time, but he's very comforting to have around, I guess. But he's just, yeah, he's welcome. You're welcome in my home anytime, you know, you want to visit. I
Yeah.
actually thought, you know, we talked him into moving on, but he didn't.
No, he doesn't. He's fooled me several times. He doesn't move on.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah,
like,
he's
oh, I'm going in,
sometimes.
and I'm passing over. And he's
Yeah,
like,
there you go.
like,
Yeah.
And he always lets me know he's here by smelling jet fuel. He
Yeah.
was a World War
Really?
II pilot.
That's
Yeah.
a new
And
one.
so I'm like, whoa, Rob's here.
Yeah.
The other night he about knocked me out. I smelled that phantom smell so strong. Like, Mom, Rob's here.
That's a
And I was
distinct, yeah, that's a
happy.
unique smell.
I was happy he was here because, you know, I thought, you know, maybe he finally did move on. And it's good for him if he moves on, but I kind of missed him. I know that I'm a little strange too. I do talk to
Listen.
ghosts, so what do you expect?
We
So,
we call our fellow weirdos. We're like, we love our fellow
Yeah.
weirdos. The weirder, the better. That's what we base this podcast off of. So there's nothing too weird here. We love it.
Yeah. No, you have to be a little weird to live
Yeah.
in this world, especially. So,
I feel like it
so,
keeps things interesting.
yeah,
I feel like
it
I always
does.
try and gravitate towards, like I said, my fellow weirdos because it keeps things spicy. It adds a little, it's like the adobo of life. You just sprinkle a little on there. It's the all-purpose seasoning. It spices
Yeah.
things up. I
Yeah,
love
there you
it.
go.
But so,
It's that comfort zone when you're around fellow
100%.
weirdos. Yeah.
It's funny because we're trying to like get some stuff together for like paranormal conventions that we're gonna start attending, and I was like, what's the first thing that I should like look at putting in like our shop, and some things for the tables, and I saw these little stay weird pins, and I was like,
Mm.
order, add to cart, bulk order. Like I was like, we need to hand these out to everybody that we know because I just love it. Like I just
Yeah.
can't sit there and have a like kind of like a mundane conversation. I love getting different perspectives and different, experiences and stories. So that's amazing.
Yeah, that's how you learn.
Absolutely. So talk to us a little bit more about just maybe some of your perspectives on the afterlife. You kind of talked about your friend kind of fooling you a little bit and saying he's gonna cross over, doesn't, and so what has that been like? Like, what do you guys believe the afterlife is like from your perspective? And some of your experiences with that, helping people maybe to cross over, or any kind of insight that you can give us and our listeners.
Oh, that question's right up my alley.
Yeah.
I have actually kind of a rare gift. It's hard to explain what it is. We've toyed back and forth with what to call it. If you've heard of a death doula, I'm a psychic death doula. I can help. I can open the light. I can call to the other side and have people moved on. There's another side to it that I'm not so happy about. I can actually help people pass, and I don't like that part. That part is just too much for me. It takes too much out of me, and it's just too depressing. I feel like I'm harming when I'm helping with that way. But the moving people on, the spirits on, I love that part. I mean, it's draining, but I can open the light and call to the other side. One of the most rewarding things I've ever done was another military man.
Yeah, it's a
We actually
mistake.
met him the same place we met Rob, our pilot.
We can't go to museums.
Yeah, museums are a bad place for us, especially when they have anything to do with military for some reason.
That's a hard one.
Yeah. So she came across the section or prisoners of war and came across this POW that he was a sergeant or colonel. He was a colonel.
Yeah, he's colonel.
And he actually attached to her. It took a while, a few weeks at least, to figure out that there was somebody with her when we came home.
He attached to me because I stood in front of his stuff reading it, and I connected to it and I started crying. at the museum. And I guess he felt that connection too. So, because he attached to me. So.
He started letting us know, and it took a little while, but when we finally figured out who he was through communication, I did get to open the light for him, and she did his history, and he was trying to find his wife. He thought his wife was still alive, but his wife and his son had passed on too, and they were on the other side. So when I opened the light and she told him his history, it was like he understood. I actually got to see this woman, and I could describe her and her dress, her hair, everything. She had glasses on, and the son stayed kind of to the side. I didn't see much of him, but they came to the edge of the light. They actually took Colonel, and I got to see him move on. And that is the most rewarding thing I have ever done in my life.
Aww.
It's a very emotional time. And I know it affects us both every time
we
we
sat
do.
there and cried for like 2 hours.
Every time we do anything like that, it's very emotional. It's very draining. And she sees more than I do. And I see enough. I don't need to see anymore. But it's such a draining, but emotionally draining, and such a good feeling, because this man was walking this earth trying to find his family. As far as he knew, they were alive, but they were gone, and they were waiting for him. So to give him that freedom to move on and be at peace and be with his family again is the greatest feeling there is. And I will take all the demons, all the bad spirits, and everything I have to go through.
Yeah, it's worth it.
It's worth it.
To do that, it's worth it.
So
we've moved on. A little girl. That one was a hard one, because she was Vietnamese little girl, and there was a huge language barrier.
Yeah.
Couldn't talk her through the light, but my spirit guides are actually my grandmother's. There's 3 generations with me. And one of my grandmothers is very powerful on the other side, and she helped the little girl cross. And I get to see that. And doing that part of my psychic gift and being able to help people that see things in their home and they're scared, and I can go in and I can communicate, and I can maybe get the spirit to leave, or make them understand and feel validated with what they're doing, what they're feeling, what they're fearing. That's all the good stuff. It's worth every bad thing that we come across.
Yeah, it really truly is. It's I mean, we couldn't have moved that little girl on, because she wasn't able to listen to anything we said, and everything we tried, every way we were trying to convince her to go. She was just not getting it, because she couldn't understand what we were saying.
And a lot of people don't understand that, spirits aren't always gonna know your language.
Yeah.
I automatically think it's like this universal language when people die, but
it's not.
It's not. I mean, maybe for some it is. I don't know. We've never been on the other side, but
I've been doing this a long time. Never come across that.
I haven't either. But they have their language still. You need help with that.
Yeah.
So
I didn't ever.
My great grandmother was the one that came. She was the Cherokee.
Okay.
She's the very strong one. She happens to be one of her guides. So the little girl knew exactly what to do with her. So how, I don't know. There's just some things you just don't question, you just don't understand, but
especially when it comes to Grandma Bessie.
Yeah, she's a very powerful woman.
You just know that she's got the tools in her tool bag, and she's gonna get her done. Right. Just like, I got this. Oh, but I love that though. As I was a former hospice worker, so I have a lot of appreciation for death doulas, because it is really rewarding, but it is a really hard field to be in, because as much as you want some people, I think, to have a great transition. Some people don't always, that's not always the case. And there's so many different walks of life that you come across with so many different paths and so many different journeys that they've walked that, I can empathize with the fact that I've seen some of the harder sides of being in that
Yeah.
realm, and it can get pretty heavy, I guess is a good word. So, thank you for
Absolutely.
what you do and helping both living and then also in the afterlife, because I think that that's really important, especially for some people who go their whole lives. I don't know if you've seen this a lot, but I know from working in hospice, I would see a lot of people kind of enter a phase of confusion, I guess I'll call it, because they didn't have a belief system. And when they're coming down to those final moments, they're like, I feel like I need to believe in something. And I feel like, I don't know where to go. Am I gonna make it to heaven? Am I gonna go to hell? Am I going to sit in purgatory? Is there another dimension or plane or, and they have all these questions, and it's like, you're kind of there to guide them, but you can't tell them, what they're pulled to or where to belong. And so I think to be able to kind of help somebody navigate that and then to make sure that they get to where they're going is a really, really special gift.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It is. It's just so hard to do that part. And the spirits, it's like they're already gone, but they're stuck. And you get that same kind of reward from and then emotion for helping them move on, but it's because they're stuck, not
Yeah.
because they're literally dying.
Yeah.
And it's a hard one to deal with. I have a hard time talking about it, as you
Yeah.
can tell.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
She tends to take over when I talk about that.
Yeah.
I do, because she does get so emotional about it. And it's one of those things where she gives a big part of her when she's doing the psychic doula.
Yeah.
And she knows that that's what she is, because a very, very,
I was just gonna say that.
what?
Yeah, I didn't have a clue what I was doing because it started out with a couple people I know, a very good friend and a family member were dying, both of cancer, and I was white lighting them every day because I didn't want to see my friend die, and I didn't want to see my family member die, but I didn't want the people closest to my family member to go through that pain. So it's like, hey, well, you hear, all these people say, well, white light,
Yeah.
white lights are healing, white lights are good. So I was white lighting, and then I just got this really bad headache one day, got really, really sick, and I forgot. And then I would get the call that night for both of these people that they died.
Yeah.
And we figured out that, when I stopped white lighting, and I got sick, that's when it was time for them to go, because they both died with their families surrounding them. And that's what they wanted. They died having a few good days.
Yeah.
And, but I thought to myself, being confused about this, that I was killing people because I was
Mm.
terrified what was going on. So she talked me into contacting a very, very important metaphysical man. I'm not sure how you feel about me saying his name, but but he's an author, and he's really big in metaphysics and paganism. And he said, do you know what a death doula is? And no. He said, research what a psychic death doula is, because that's what you are. I'm like, what? And I did. I researched, and I'm getting doulas, just, without the psychic part of it. I'm like, well, this isn't what I'm doing. I'm not working in a hospice. I'm not
Yeah.
helping people, get their affairs in order and trying to help them transition like that. This is all like psychic. This is all this emotional, mental thing going on with not even being in the same room with these people. And then I finally got to one person, and she had an article, and she said that she was psychic, and she was a death tool, and she was helping people transition from life to death. like literally pass. I cannot find this woman now. I can't find the articles. This was like maybe 10, 11, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
But reading her article and talking to him made me realize that, you know, this is something special. I don't like it. It's not what I choose. I don't know why I was chosen to have it, but I don't feel worthy of it. But I accept it now.
Yeah.
And I see the other parts that come with it. I wouldn't ever want somebody to ask me to help them die.
Yeah.
Although I know people are going to someday do that. And I don't ever want to have to face that. But dealing with the spiritual part of it and with literally moving the spirits on through the light, that's the part that I'm happy with. But that part, it tears me up every time I talk about it, because one, it makes me miss the people that died. But and it brings back all those feelings of guilt that I had. But it's so hard to explain how I feel about this.
I don't like it when she does it, because she
I don't
gives a
either.
part of her up. When she white lights them,
It does feel like I'm giving myself.
I'm part of the metaphysical world, so I know what's happening. When she gives up part of herself for them until they're ready, just like as a doula, person's in the hospital dying, you help them, you know, get all their affairs in order and their families get there. It's kind of like you're helping them
You
with
help
the
them
time and the
understand.
transition. You try to talk to them, you try to make them comfortable with, you know, what they're going through. Well, they need time. Sometimes they need time. And she gives up part of her to give them that extra time. And then when it's ready, she gets sick, it's stopped, you're done.
It only
And then
it's
they
only like
pass.
it's only a few days that it happens.
Yeah.
Just long enough for them to have that last moment that they wanted with their family surrounding them.
Yeah. It's something that is not I don't consider it really a gift, honestly.
That's a curse to me.
I consider that too much. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things we don't know enough about it. It's until there's more research and there's more knowledge about what is actually happening, it's not something that I want her to do, because she gives up too much of her.
Yeah.
So
Well, then the other side of not wanting to talk about it is you have the judgment
oh yeah.
from people like who is this chick to think that she can help people die? I've gotten those looks, and people have stopped talking to me when they hear it and they think that I'm nuts.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
let me be the one
paranormal.
to say this to you. So one of the biggest things and the reason that I started this podcast was because I knew that people like me, like the people that I have on here, we all need a safe space to be who we are authentically. And the more that I have been able to be so blessed to talk to so many different people with so many different religions and perspectives and gifts and career choices, you know, that are not conventional, I've realized that like that's your superpower. And as much as that, you know, I know that there's some things that come with it that, like we said, blessing and curse. But at the end of the day, the most beautiful thing is that what you do, that's your superpower. And there's nobody else. You are a fingerprint. There's nobody else on this earth who is exactly like you. You cannot be replicated. You're just beautiful. Like everything about you. You're gifted, you're special, you're unique. And like that's how I look at it. And like this is a safe space. And the people who are going to judge you, the people who are going to look at you or stop talking to you and have something to say or comment about, just remember that that's a reflection of them. And that has nothing to do with you. You just got to keep chugging along and keep doing what you're doing and knowing that your intent is good and that you're putting all these great karmic things out into the universe, and that how they judge people and how they pass judgment and the mean and snarky things that people are going to say or whatever it is that they're going to do, that's a them problem. That's not a you problem, girlfriend. Okay. So I
I
hope
love
you
your
never
perspective.
don't
Yeah.
ever doubt your greatness. Seriously. Don't ever doubt
People
that,
are
and don't ever feel ashamed.
Well, one of the reasons I did decide to come out was I knew I was going to get some backlash on it. But when I decided to come out, I was like, all I could find was this one woman in this one article years ago. Like, there has to be more people out there that can do this,
Yeah.
and they're going through the same thing I am, and they're trying to figure it out. And I want to be there for them and let them know
Yeah.
that, they're not crazy and they're not hurting people like I thought I was. And
Yeah.
that they have somebody that they can come to and they can talk to. So if there's anybody listening that is going through this, please don't hesitate to contact me.
Yeah,
I think it's
there's
important
time
to
for
lend your
more.
voice to people who don't have one. I think that's the most important part is when you share your story, you give the people who don't have a voice a voice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've brought out some pretty controversial things, and we knew that we were going to get backlash on a lot of other things besides that. And it's like, so what? Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's help other people.
I guess I don't worry about it as much as she does, but because it's my life, it's my story. I know what I can do. I know what I've seen. I know what I've done. If you believe it, great. If you don't, then there's nothing I can say or do to make you.
Yeah.
And that's your opinion, that's fine. If you want to learn more about it, you want me to try to help you understand it, I'm perfectly willing to do that.
Yeah.
But it's my life. I know what I know.
Yeah.
And I've been through some pretty bad battles in the spirit world. And what I'm able to do, what I can handle, and what the things and people that I have helped over the years is, it's worth it. It's all worth it because I did not want to come out in the public. I've been doing this for so long.
Forced that.
She forced it. I was perfectly willing just to do my own thing behind the scenes.
Well, we didn't even know each other could do this stuff until,
Yeah.
wow, what about 20 years ago or
Yeah.
something? But actually, it was like 16, 17 years ago. We went to Salem together, and I'm like, why are you talking to?
Yeah.
Yeah,
we came out to each other standing in front of the prison that the Boston Strangler was.
Yeah,
We're in
well,
2Realm.
yeah.
That's a
and she got
memorable
mad
story.
because- yeah, I stayed there while she walked on, and she couldn't find me, and I was talking to people. Like, no,
Left
there's
the group.
Hey.
Where did you go? You left. You stayed at a prison alone. It's an abandoned prison.
Hey, when spirits want to talk, you talk. So,
Listen, when
She
they
ain't
when they
crazy like
call,
that.
they call. You got to answer that call.
hey, I got a few rocks thrown at me during that time, and I'm looking around like, who the hell's throwing the rocks?
Oh no.
It was not any humans that were alive. It's
Oh
just
my
saying.
goodness.
But yeah, well, you imagine it was that prison, so it was pretty.
Probably
It's
packed.
condos
Yeah.
now.
It's probably
Yeah.
packed.
Yeah, it's a set of condos now. We can all move into it and enjoy the weird.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah. No, I don't think I want to go and be around Boston Stranglers.
Yeah, that does not sound. That doesn't sound like a good time to me. I'd be like,
No.
So kind of
pass.
talking about like so Boston Strangler kind of you guys have touched upon it quite a few times, the darker side of the things that you've encountered. Do you feel comfortable maybe talking a little bit about that? Because I do think that obviously there's a lot of debate in the paranormal community, the spiritual world about demons versus negative entities versus things that are just kind of I don't know what they've called them, but like formations, like things that have been manifested through negative emotions and things like that.
Yeah.
So this is where I really love to kind of get down to the nitty-gritty and see these different perspectives and kind of hear your thoughts on it. What have you experienced? Can you give me a couple of stories and what are your thoughts on the demon versus negative energy, and how often have you come across the big D word?
Oh my goodness. I just wrote about, well, I just released a book a year ago, it was in May, about our story. It was 28 years of living a paranormal nightmare. It's called Dark Side of the Apple, a true
Okay.
story paranormal. It's happened. I don't know if you can see it. It's right behind.
I was wondering what that
But
was. I'm actually going to write that down because I am always looking for good reads.
that was our, when we moved into that place, I was a kid. She was in the middle of a divorce. And it started right off the bat. We moved in and she said, there's a dark cloud over this place.
No.
And that building proved that for 28 years. The last few years were the worst. I was almost killed in that building by a spirit. Well, we think it's a spirit, we don't really know. To be that strong and that negative, I wouldn't think that it was a spirit. But
But it wasn't a demon.
And I was oppressed by a demon in that place. So where demons are extremely rare, people automatically jump on, everything that happens is negative is demon. Everything, where you're scratched or you're pushed or you're something that it's negative. It's not necessarily negative. It could be something that you're just not paying attention to and it's trying to get your attention.
Mm-hmm.
So we've come across that several times. It's a good person. It's like, hey, if you're not listening to me, I'm going to yell in your face. If you still don't, you're going to hear me. Oh, they push you, they scratch you. But demons are very rare. And everybody's playing everything a demon. And I absolutely hate that because then it makes the rest of us that have truly had an encounter look like we're a joke when we're telling our story and nobody wants to buy it. It's like, haha, you're lying. You're just buying into the, TV kind of demon thing. We had a really bad neighbor that moved in and he blasted his TV one day. This is the first day he lived there. So she goes over and she knocks on his door after having a nice conversation with him earlier in the day. And this man got in her face and it was like he changed into a different person.
He did.
Like he was possessed. She thought that he was going to hit her just for asking, could you turn your TV down?
Wow.
He left for a little while and then he came back and everything was fine. And then things started to happen in our place. He was of a, let's be politically correct, alternative religion. We don't insult anybody, and they worship gens, which are lower level demons.
In his religion.
And they conjure them for revenge.
Is that like it's DG or DJIN? Like, is that what I'm thinking of?
I think that's how you spell it, yeah.
I know there's
sure.
different variations of it, but like
Yeah.
Jins, is that what you're saying? Is that
Yeah, Jen.
okay?
It's a lower level demon
demon
in his religion.
I've heard of them and I've done a little bit of research. Wow, I have never had anybody on here yet that has had an experience.
It was a horrible 2-year experience. He conjured this thing in and I think he wanted to send it to her, but
yeah, he was pissed at me.
By its default, somehow it ended up getting attached to me. And it oppressed me for a year and a half, to almost 2 years. It was telling me to kill myself. It was telling me that, if I killed myself, that everybody that I loved would be happy, that because they didn't really love me. It told me how to do it. I know it's a little graphic to tell people, but it told me to slip my wrist on my mattress so that it would absorb the blood and my mother could truly be happy about my death. It tortured me emotionally for that long. It was showing me there's little people in my life, little kids in my life that they're not mine, but I love them so dearly. And it was showing me one particular little boy getting hit by a car and all of these horrible things. And I got to a breaking point where I was starting to believe it. I believed that nobody loved me. I believed that, my death would be the best thing for everybody. And my mother was my hero in that whole thing. She's the one that got that attachment off of me, along with our ancestors and my guides, my grandmothers. We managed one night to get that thing off of me, and it literally, you hear in the movies that you smell roses when
Really
a
do.
possession or oppression is over. You really do, because I was sitting in my hallway, and I'm like, I feel this weight come off of me, and I knew that it wasn't attached to me anymore, and I could smell these roses, and I could just feel myself just slide down the wall because I was so weak and so tired. And it was my mother. My mother was my hero.
Look
Yeah.
at that. What a badass mama. You go, mama.
I have
Yeah,
a
yeah.
badass mom. I really do.
She just looks badass.
Well,
When you
you
guys
know,
turned that camera on, I was like, oh man. I was like, she looks like she means business.
well, I saw my daughter leaving. She was not herself.
I was just a
She
shell.
was, that the night that this happened, she was not her. And I was afraid she was going for good. And it was spirit guides said, now's the time. And it was a battle. It was truly a battle. I'm not going to go into details about it, but it was truly a fight. And we won.
Yeah, she stays
Say,
there.
but it wasn't just me. It was what I am able to do, but it was a lot of spirits, a lot of guardians, a lot of powerful people.
I
It was
think
my
too,
tribe.
love. Love is a big one. People underestimate, a mother's love, a grandmother's love, just love in general. That love always outshines that darkness, that hate, that evil. So that's a good
I think
testament to the true power.
my mom she's a very strong woman, my grandmother, which is her mother, and her mother, which is the Cherokee, they are all her guides. And they watch over her. And they were the ones that said no. And I was shocked at everything I saw, because what I was seeing was this amazing, beautiful, I can't, they were people, but they were not alive as as we are. They were like angels, and they were there, and it was a battle. And so it was just me. It wasn't just me. Okay. It was a lot of spirits, and a lot of very powerful spirits. And luckily this was a low-level demon. So I know exactly which one it is, and I will never speak his name. Thank you.
Oh,
Because
Nope,
I will call
nope.
him in. No, we do not want to call him in.
Well, we know because he would, we would try to figure out. I mean, you're not supposed to investigate your home, but it got to a point where it was like, okay, what in the hell is going on here? We have
Yeah.
to figure out what's going on, because there was a lot more than just that happening.
Yeah.
So we're investigating, and coming through spirit box was, you would say a syllable of the name, and then there'd be just sounds, or what I call spit words. And then there'd be another syllable until it spelled out exactly what the name was. And we're looking at each other like, we know what that is.
Yeah. And I did some research and found out what it was. So it's that the place we lived was a highway. It was constantly busy. It was, when I told her that there was a dark cloud over it, there truly was. It was such a dark place in itself. And then it was real easy with some of the people, like this man that moved in, to do what he did. It just helped him. This building kind of had a life of its own.
It had so many suicides, and so many
people were
deaths,
dying,
and so much misery.
It had gotten to the point, it was an apartment building, and there was actually 6 apartments in this one unit, and the managers wouldn't go near it. They would not come near that building.
Oh yeah, we weren't the only ones having
So-
experiences. I mean, people in the rest of our building, they would tell us that they were seeing, you know, shadow figures and things like that, and they were having experiences too. But the whole neighborhood, the whole complex was just reeling with activity.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was a very bad place, but the land was not, it's not good land. So, and there was so much going on there. And the young man that we said enjoyed dying,
Mhm.
he was one of the people that lived in that building. So he it's only fitting that he would enjoy it.
Dang.
So, but the building took on its own life, and that's why I said it had a dark cloud over it, because it was really it was just a bad place, and we were stuck there. Every time we started to get out, something would happen to make sure we stayed.
Oh, that would make me
And
so mad.
oh yeah, it did, and it was kind of odd because when we weren't there, we were fine, but when we went there, it was like dread to walk to the door, and then all hell broke loose. So it's just not a good place. So we finally got out of there. It's been a little over a year since we got out, and where we
It's
are
taken
now,
that year to heal.
where we are now is, I got
It's haunted, but
It's
it's
haunted.
haunted by us.
yeah,
We're
we
guys.
figured it out. We're the haunted. It's not the place. No matter where we go, no matter what, we are the haunted. So
Okay.
I mean, I'm laying in bed one night and I feel somebody behind me. I think was it her, and I turn around and there's this spirit standing there. And I looked at him. I could describe this man to a T. It's like, what the hell are you doing here? And he just looked at me, and then poof. And then he comes back every now and then, and he'll push the bed, or he's not harmful. It's just annoying.
He's a pest.
It's like, can I go to sleep, please? Just get out of my room.
The inconvenient
trying to
ghost.
sleep.
There you are, Morgan.
Yeah,
Shaking
the
My
ghost doesn't
spirit
need to
ghost.
sleep. I need to sleep. Go away. But
Wow.
there's nothing bad here. It's just annoying like him.
Hey,
So
listen, that's a good thing. And I'm so happy that you guys were able to come out the other side of that and be able to, hopefully be empowered by it and know that if you guys can overcome that, nothing's stopping y'all. Nothing is ever gonna stop y'all.
no, let me give you a little thing here. What you said about the demons and the spirits. There are bad spirits. If they were bad people, chances are they're bad. They're going to be bad when they're dead. There are different kinds of spirits, like the girl that she was talking about. That was not.
Oh, I didn't even tell the story about the
It
girl.
was not a demon, but she was a very bad spirit. But she really wasn't human. So let's just put it that way. But when you come across a demon, you're going to know you're across a demon. There's a big difference. I have had my experience besides that one. That's why I knew what I was doing. I know what a demon is, and the one I had my experience with was not a low level. So when you come across a demon, you're going to know it. So when these people say, it's demon, it's dark, it's this and it's that, no, you're going to know. It's just a pissed off person that is now a spirit and can get away with more, or it's something else. It's just a bad person. So
automatically, it's either a human spirit or it's a demon.
Yeah.
There's so many other things that it could be.
Yeah,
So
there's other things.
there's so many other realms, so many, and there's things we can bring in, that are elementals and things like that. And those are spirits, but they're not human.
Yeah.
Some are good, some are bad.
I've been doing research for quite a few years. I don't, it's the ghost hunting and all that stuff. It can, it's good. It helps with stuff. But the research is to find out more. And we are never going to know everything. The more we find, the more, as just put, the more questions we answer, the more questions we have.
Yeah.
And there's no such thing as an expert. And there's always going to be those people out there that are going to cause trouble, ignore them, move on, do your own thing. I got into this to help. I help the living that are trying to live with things that we went through, think they're crazy, and I really gravitate toward children because children see more than you think. They're more open to it than we are. And I cannot stand it when an adult person that is supposed to help this child looks at them and says, you're lying, or disbelieves their story. How do you know? Because you can't see it does not mean that child can.
Yeah.
So they don't know how to deal with it. It's your place to help them. And then child spirits are the same way. They're lost. They want mommy and daddy. They want to go where they're having fun and playing. And if somebody called me and told me there was a child spirit somewhere, I'd be there in a second, because that child, if it's true, if there really is a child spirit there, they need help.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be there to help them. But it's like there's so many things to learn. And
Yeah.
even though I've been doing this for so many years, I'll never stop learning. And I'll never stop helping. So if there's a spirit, I've gone in places where we weren't supposed to do anything. If there's a child spirit there, it gets moved on.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, you do not do that. If a spirit asks you for help, you're gonna walk away from them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of investigators that do. They'll walk away because it's money.
But I
Well, there's
think
a lot of
profits, I was
locations
just
that
gonna say,
people.
profits a really big one.
Mhm.
It seems like a lot of haunted locations. I've heard stories of people kind of going there to try and help these spirits kind of cross over.
Mhm.
And owners, or these people that buy these locations are like, no, 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 we don't want to do that. Like, we get paid
Yeah.
investigations, we get shows that come here, and
Right.
it's like, that's exploiting. Like,
Yeah.
I know a lot of people don't look at it that way, but I personally feel like that's total exploitation, and I just think it's cruel. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys are gonna get all up in arms about, who's that guy? Tiger King. They're like, oh, like, he's keeping
Mhm.
tigers in pens and he's doing this, and it's taboo. And I know it's kind of apples and oranges, but at the same time, like, you guys care so much about that, but you don't care about these people who should be in a much better place and are kind of stuck and
Right.
lost, and you're not helping them because of money.
Right.
And that really
Yeah.
sucks.
Thank you. You're the first person we've talked to that actually feels that way that I know of. And I agree with you 100%. Yeah. There's no,
Never thought about
you
that.
don't make money off of spirits. So
Yeah.
I'm not making money off spirits. We investigate, we don't get paid. We
Yeah.
help somebody, we don't get paid.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's especially if a spirit asks you for help. I will not leave that spirit unless I try to help them. Can
Yeah.
I? Not always. You can't always help them, but I will try. I mean, because they ask me to. But I know a few other investigators that'll do the same thing, but you won't hear about it.
Yeah.
So, because of the
I know of a
locations.
couple that have been kicked out of locations, they're allowed to go back.
Yeah. And that's why, because the locations are, it's all about the profit, the money. So,
Yeah. And it's hard because it's like, I feel like there's such a fine line too, where it's like, you have people that I think they have the right intention, and they want to study the afterlife, and they want to find, root causes. And there's, like you said, there's so much to learn, and there's so much that's evolving and changing in opinions and theories. And I do feel like, investigations, there's some that are, they mean well, but I still don't think that maybe necessarily we should keep these spirits so kind of locked somewhere. I mean, I understand some
Yeah.
spirits, they, like you said, they like their location, they like being in the afterlife,
Yeah.
they like kind of doing their thing. So like that's one thing, but I think that you're right. I mean, if a spirit approaches you and is lost and is stuck, or maybe even scared, confused, just doesn't know why it's here and it needs to be somewhere else, that's kind of cruel. That's
Yeah.
cruel.
I think people have forgotten that these are people. They're just people that are dead, but they're still people. Would you do that to a living person? No. So why are you doing it to somebody that's dead? This
Yeah.
is a soul.
Probably, you know, the worst thing though, a lot of people would do that to a living person.
I was literally, you read my mind. I
Yeah.
was sitting here. That's exactly what I was going to say. I was going to say the
Yeah.
sad thing is we live in a world
Yeah.
where I don't think people even think about human beings as human beings.
Yeah.
It just kind of, yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
dehumanized.
Yes. Yes. That's the perfect word for it. Um, so I kind of want to, now that we've kind of touched on investigating and things like that, what is an investigation like for you guys? Like, do you prep? Are there protection protocols that you have that maybe you put in place? Ways that when you go on an investigation, you think, tools or anything like that that is helpful, kind of walk us through what investigation life is like for you guys.
She's basically the historian. I mean, she looks at me like, yeah, this is your part. Because
Yeah.
I'm the one that prepares for the
I'm one of
investigations.
those old school people. I don't.
She's like, give me my little camera and give me my digital recorder and let me go and sense.
Yeah. I just want to go out in the middle of a field and just, we do Gettysburg a lot. So it's like I go out in the field.
Gettysburg.
Yeah,
I love
exactly.
Gettysburg. We are
Oh, yeah.
addicted.
Oh yeah. But just give me my little camera. I have a double shot camera that is absolutely amazing, and just a digital recorder and myself. That's all I need. I'll sit down in the middle of the film and let the spirits come to me. I'm not going out and hunting for them. That's me. Very old school.
I'm different.
She's the opposite.
I'm different. I'm like days beforehand. While she's researching some of the stuff, I'm like, what equipment do we need? Do we need this? Do we need that? Where are the batteries and charging everything? Are the memory cards full? And I'm going through the whole techie part because I think it's just important to have the equipment validation as it is to have the psychic ability in the investigations.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly the one preparing and going through everything, and she's like, why do we need that? What does that do?
Yeah.
She doesn't know how to work half the equipment. She
I
doesn't
don't
want
use
to.
it. I don't use it. So
It's yin and yang. Listen, I say this all the time, yin and yang. You have one person that's specialized in this area, the other one specialized in this, and you balance each other out,
Right.
So
She's also the one that's like calm and cool and collected during like, did that door slam? Oh, okay. And I'm like, oh my God, the door slammed.
I was about to say, like, I own a business with my mom, so like I understand the dynamic of like, hey, a strength and a weakness, and we play off each other, and it's not quite to the extent we're dog trainers, but that mother-daughter dynamic is just so cool.
It's
funny.
Sometimes it's annoying.
Yeah. She says I'm the mean boss. She's like, my boss is so mean.
Yeah. Her.
She's the mean boss here.
No. See, we have to argue this because she wants all this stuff and she wants to go and do this one and do that and do that. I'm like, do we really have to?
I drag her to places.
Yeah, when we had an event last year in October. It was October 13th, and we had two back-to-back investigations, and we hosted them, and they were up in Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm like, I got tired. The second night, it's like, I'm so tired of talking about this stuff and doing this.
Yeah, night one, it's like we have this perfect plan and we're leading everybody through and we're equal. So in that beginning talk where you introduce into this public investigation group, and night two, she's like, you're being slow.
So I jump in, I do the talk, I tell everybody everything. We go and do the investigation and all this, and then closer to the end, it's like we allow the people to go and investigate on their own. You know, we take them around, we investigate with them and do some experiments and stuff, and then we let them go. And
She's sitting out chatting with people, and I'm back investigating with you.
yeah, she's off doing her thing. I'm sitting out in the lobby, and we're just having a nice little chat with some people. They're asking, hey, I was still working. They were asking me questions, okay?
We'll call you the consultant for that night.
There you go. We were talking about things. We were talking about the spirit world. So there you go. I'm still working.
I
She
love it.
just couldn't go do the investigation.
She thinks.
I've investigated that place so many times, I'm done.
Our dynamic is so funny though, because when we bring other people in with us, we will get hardly any activity.
Yeah.
If we're doing like a serious investigation, not just the public, but like we went to David Stewart Farm. We had a group of people with us, and it was in Gettysburg, and they went to rest for a little bit, and we stayed out in the middle of the field, and we're like, whoa, we're seeing soldiers out on the tree line,
Yeah.
shadows, and getting all this stuff. And
It's like, did you see that?
people walk back up, and we're like, and now they're gone. Like when we're together and we pull it in, but when we have other people around, it's like
We work really well together
do.
when we investigate. We've actually had people compliment us on that. It's like you two work so well together. That's because we connect with each other, I guess, our energy. And we know what we're doing.
we're very different in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
but the outcome is the same for both of us. We're searching for that same end result, so we bring it together, and
We may
compliment
take a
each other.
different road to get there, though.
And we may get annoyed with each other in the process.
Yeah, very.
Hey, whatever works
Or
though.
her annoyed with me.
It's
And
all
then
about the
just quit and let
chemistry.
her do it. Yeah. Now I get why she likes the equipment and stuff. It is, you know, when you're a psychic medium, you know what you're doing. You can see, you can hear, this is your world. But other people can't. So I get her point with the equipment. You need that to validate what you're getting.
Yeah.
And so okay, fine, but you play with it.
My favorite thing to do is to do the Estes method where I'm blindfolded. I've got the headphones on in the spirit box, and she's at the other end, and she's got like some kind of ITC that people can hear. And I'm getting the responses, and that thing's getting the responses too. And they're matching, and people are like, oh my God, it's real. And they're freaking out, and they're having such a good time with it. They're shocked that, you know, okay, she's getting this response over here at this end, can't hear anything. And we're getting this response over here on this end. And they're loving every second of it. And it kind of makes, that one is hard for a skeptic
Yeah.
to deny.
Yeah. Yeah. What are they going to do? They're not going to say she's just making it up. She already knows all this stuff. No,
I have to.
she's.
Go ahead.
she's
Go ahead.
doing it.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the Estes method is like I think it's so addicting watching people do it. It is so much fun, and like you said, it's super hard for like a skeptic to see that and be like, yeah, no, it's not real. Like I just think it's really neat. So I thought that was interesting. So I was gonna ask you if you guys have a communication tool or like an evidence kind of documentation tool that you use or prefer. So I think it's interesting that you guys use that. And then you said the spirit box as well, right?
Yeah, I love the spirit box, but I'm more into, I want to hear like it's considered an app, but it's actually a computer program. Like I love the Phasma box. And like the Geoport, things like that, where you can hear that communication come out, and it's clearer than, you know, that kind of sound of a stereo box. People have already been distinguishing with that. So I love those kind of things. And I would say I'm my favorite tool when we're doing that method. When we're doing the SDs and we have other things that are confirming what I'm getting. I know it's your camera.
Yeah, my camera. I've got the best evidence with my camera.
Yeah, I can use that camera and get absolutely nothing. She uses that camera and we have apparitions.
I've got an undeniable apparition in a picture. Her reflection is in a picture. And people will say, no, that's just you. It's a button.
We went back and debunked it on
Oh
video.
yeah, we took a group of people back to the same location. Let's debunk this. You can't do it. You can't do it.
It's
It's like,
impossible.
and then you see, okay, every question they come up with, it's like, look at the picture closer. You see me faintly over here. I'm holding the camera and it's in front of me. That would have been me. Do you see that little Glenn? No, she's right here facing that way. So no, not quite.
That picture is up on our website.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Anybody
check
wants
that out.
the debunk video, I have it.
Yeah, it's a cool picture, and I love that. That's one of my favorite pieces of evidence. So
There's a lot
it's-
that I want to check out on your website. I always try and go into, I know it kind of seems like the opposite of probably what most people do, but I try to go in pretty blind in podcast episodes because I love to like learn things from you and kind of keep it organic. So like it's so hard because like I had like your website and I'm like looking at little things here and there and I'm like, no, I don't want to look too much. I was like, I want them to be able to tell us a bunch of stuff. But there sounds like you guys have a lot of really cool stuff up there.
Yeah, we do. I've taken the last couple months and revamped our website so much, and it actually has really paid off because we're ranked 94 as one of the top performing websites from our provider now. So we've
Oh,
gotten
good
like
job.
300 site visits in a couple days, and so that's pretty darn good for
That's good.
that's
Yeah.
all
she does it.
like we decided to do Realm Friends, which you're on, where we actually bring in people who are friends with us, who support 2Realm and us individually, and people that love the paranormal for all the right reasons. It's not just a showboat thing or money maker, but we wanted to show our gratitude to those people. So I decided to dedicate an entire page to them.
That was so
There's
neat,
so
by the
much
way.
negativity. There's so much negativity in the paranormal community right now that anything we can do to bring positivity into it is a great thing. So,
Yeah.
There's some bad people, but there's some good people too.
I think my
Yeah.
favorite new thing on the website is we just started, it's Talk with the Dead. And we have our first 2 videos up, my first experience, and it's all done in a video, and hers is too. But we're inviting people to send us their stories.
Okay.
Yeah, we want everybody's story. So if you guys got stories, send them to us.
Oh,
We
I
can
got
come
one
up.
for you. I got one for you.
Okay.
Because I'd love to also like when I submit it, I thought about asking you guys earlier on like your opinion of it, but I think I'll write it in just because it's kind of long. Because we kind of touched upon like different spirits and things like that. And I kind of am curious as to think about maybe what was in my grandparents' house growing up that I grew up with and kind of seeing what you guys thought from somebody else who is a sensitive and has that gift. I'd just be curious to kind of pick your brains on that.
Okay.
Okay, send it in.
Send it.
The easiest way to send it is is like a YouTube link, but you can
Cool.
write it or send it to me and I'll figure out how to get it up there.
Cool. Oh, that's
Of course, I have, like,
exciting.
Ask Evie, which our little ghost mascot.
I love it.
EVP.
Yes.
That's pretty clever. That's pretty clever.
EVP.
This is our little Evie.
I love it.
She's been with us since the beginning.
We take fan questions and answer them from, if there are answers, but they're from the perspective of Evie, just to bring a little bit of a comical aspect and lightheartedness to it. And Realm Thoughts is fun because I get to rant a little bit about things that are happening in the paranormal. So that one's a fun page.
I'm
For
excited.
you.
Maybe not so much to people that disagree with me.
No, I think that's really exciting. And I think it'll be really fun to, because when people submit their stuff, I mean, we'll be able to kind of either, do you watch it? Do you read it? Like, how does it work?
Anyway, it's easier to take like a YouTube video and put it out there the way the website provider does it. But
And
I
is it
can
like
figure
a
out how to get
thread? Will it be like a thread or?
It's a page, video after video, or we can do a typed
Oh,
story. We could do a story
cool.
with pictures. We can, however people really want to do it. They want to, even voice record. I think I might be able to figure out how to get that up there.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That'll
so
be
if
cool
there's
to
this,
scroll and read, and I think it'll be good for other
If I
people
can get
too to
people on
relate.
board, I got to get people on board. There's a lot of people that have come and said, "Oh my God, I've got a story for you," and then it's like, "No, maybe I don't want to tell it."
Yep,
And then they
yep.
back out.
We're in the same boat. Listen, we feel your pain because I think me and Rachel, I mean, how much have we asked for listener stories? We've been asking since like
We're really good.
last summer. Yeah, we're like, hey, listen, if you have any stories, and it's like we'll be a part of
Tell
all
us
these, like,
something.
yeah, like give us
Please tell
something.
us
Like we'd
something.
love to read, all
yeah,
these
Well, and they can be
experiences.
anonymous too. I mean, if people want to type it out or something like that, then I can leave it anonymous. So nobody
Yeah.
can judge your story. There's no comments, nothing. If you have questions about it, maybe we can help you with what happened in
Yeah.
your story. I mean, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
yeah.
I love the website. That's become my baby. lately.
It's all her.
It's addicting.
I-
It's addicting.
I forced
Yeah.
her to do her story.
Yeah, she did.
And wow, did that take a while.
Hey, when I don't know. I'm just not, that's not my thing.
I got mine was done in an hour because I love doing the content, but hers is like, but I don't want to do it. Is it right? Does it sound right? I don't want to do it. Why can't you record it? You're the one who does the voiceovers.
It's because I'll get through it, and it's like, take, start over, do it again, because I would mess up the story. It's like, that makes no sense, really. So
That's
I
great
just
though.
over and over. So she could have done it in one time. Me, 10.
It's more special though when it comes from you. So you have to do it.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I got through it. I got through it.
It was when I marketed it on the social media, it was like, and yeah, you heard me right. She actually is telling her story.
Because
I
anybody
love
that
it.
knows me knows I don't do that. I'm very seldom on camera. Hey, you're lucky I'm here. Okay. She can do the podcast. No,
There you
I
go.
actually find you two absolutely adorable and very comfortable to talk to. So
Yeah,
I'm glad this one I did. So
I'm so happy you guys came on. Like this is so much fun, and I just love like your perspectives and just everything that that you've brought to the table today to kind of talk about and be vulnerable about, because I know it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing to put yourself out there and talk about these things, because like we said, there's a lot of scrutiny, there's a lot of judgment, and even in the paranormal world, people who are in this community, there's a lot of skeptics. They're like believers, skeptics. Like it's like, they
Yeah.
believe their own evidence and their own stuff. And it's like the minute somebody else starts talking about it, they find 50 million reasons to debunk you or tell you why you're a fraud. And it's
Yeah.
like, let's just let each other live. Let's spread a little love and light and encourage each other, and, just mind your side of the road. So that's simple. So
Yeah, that's half my arguments is people, bashing other people about their evidence and stuff. It's like, you weren't there. You don't know.
yeah.
Like, we don't know enough about the spirit world to say that it can't do that. Like
Yeah.
orbs. I study orbs. I study the anomalies and things like that in orbs, and like it drives me crazy when people put it down. So you don't know. They could be manifesting. It could be just how they can manifest. So what? There's dust all around. There could be that one spirit in the middle. You don't know.
Well, and I
Yeah,
feel like
it
it's,
drives me crazy.
yeah.
And
And
people don't they say that something is fake. You look at a
Yeah.
picture and you say it's fake. How do you know? Were you there? Did you know everything else that went on?
yeah.
You don't know what else was going on in that room.
Yeah.
So don't say that. I'll say I wasn't there. It looks this way to me, in my opinion. It could be this, but I wasn't there. So how do I know?
Yeah.
That I would have to go there. I would have to be in that room and experience what you're experiencing.
It's impossible to actually fully debunk something online.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
But I think like at the end of the day, like the way that I see it is like, would you tell a kid that Santa Claus isn't real? Like, don't take that magic away from somebody because that's their,
Oh
you
my
know, like you
gosh.
never know. Like this could have been something they were working 6 months at, and this is their magic. This is something that meant a lot to them, and this was their piece of
Absolutely.
evidence. And somebody in 2 seconds is so quick to just be like, yeah, that's not real, and just kind of stomp on it. And it's like, it takes $0 to just like mind your business, be kind. Like it's that
Mhm.
simple. Like what is so hard about that? And I feel like I've said this before on the podcast. I'm like, the easiest thing to do is to just love other people, be kind, mind your business, like just keep to, just keep to yourself. Like, and it seems to be like the hardest thing to do. Like people just struggle so much
Yep.
with just doing it. Just do the damn
Yeah.
thing. That's how I feel like. Just do it and just mind your business and just be nice, you
Yeah.
know? So,
Yeah.
but yeah. I think
The
if
world's changed.
yeah, it has. But I have faith that um if the do-gooders and the people who just keep, spreading that love and kindness, I think it's kind of like the good old Shawshank Redemption. You just chip and chip and chip and you just chip away and eventually, you know, we're gonna make a hole. It's gonna take a lot of us, and I think we just gotta kind of spread the love. And I've had a lot of analogies today, a lot of comparison. I am an analogy person. I'm very visual, so I'm like, references all around. But
That's
yeah,
good.
I think it's an easy way to see it. It's just like eventually we'll get there. I think we gotta wear some of these negative energies down a little bit and let them know that like it's not gonna happen. We're gonna
Yeah.
Love is
Hey,
always gonna overcome and we're gonna do good and turn this community around.
one of my favorite quotes, and it's a hashtag on Instagram, is spread love and love will spread.
Yes,
And
there you go.
surprisingly, that came from Donnie Wahlberg, New Kids on the Block. But
Love it. Love it
but
even
I
more.
love that. And I try to live by that now. It's like, if you're nice to people, people are going to be nice to you and you're going to make their day. You don't know what somebody's going through. So just
Mhm.
spread all the love, be nice.
Seriously.
Tell everybody to have a good day.
Seriously. I know, listen, we all have our moments. We all have our traffic moments. We all have our,
Yeah.
our spilled
Don't try to
coffee and just like, we have those days, but I think it's just making sure that those days don't outnumber the good days and the kind days. So showing everybody a little bit of grace and realize we're all just, that quote, we're all walking each other home. So yeah. But I think that's a good way to close this episode is I guess if you guys could give one solid piece of advice to our listeners, what would you say to them?
Do it for the right reasons. Don't do it for fame. Don't do it for money. Don't do it for a thrill. Do it for the right reasons. Because the paranormal can be dangerous. It is serious, and you are messing with people's lives. The people that need the help, that are alive, you could be destroying them by going in and doing stupid stuff and causing them more fear. And for the people that are dead, they're still people. Don't dehumanize the dead. These are souls. If you wouldn't do it to a living person and you wouldn't have it done to you, don't do it to the dead. I
Couldn't have said
agree.
that. Couldn't have said that better myself. That was the nail right on the head. That was awesome. So before we close up, we have a little saying, kind of circling back to the beginning of this episode. We always say, until next time, everybody, let's get weird. And that's how we close it out. So we always ask our guests to join in with us. So, do you want me to count it down? You want me to 3, 2, 1 it? We're never in
Sure.
sync. We're never in sync. So it's not gonna be perfect. We're gonna be all over the place.
Okay, tell us
But
again. Tell us again.
all right, so we'll just say I'll say until next time, everybody, and then we'll just all together say, let's get weird.
Okay.
All right, we got this. Maybe this is the day. Maybe this is the day we'll all be
Bring
in
it on
sync.
home. Bring it on
All
home.
right. All right. Ready, everybody? We're gonna do a 3, 2, 1. Until next time, everybody. Let's
Let's
get
get weird.
That was pretty good. That was good. But thank you so much for joining us today. We will see you guys again next week. Stay tuned, and we love y'all.